Welcome back. Let's spend a minute and think about the eighth principle of economics. A country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce goods and services. If we look at differences in living standards around the world, we see that North America, Western Europe, and Australia tend to have much higher living standards than some other places. But that may just be that those areas are farther ahead in the growth process. So if we look at progress over time, we see that almost all the countries in the early 1800s had relatively short life expectancies, think less than 40 years, and relatively low incomes. But if we look at it over time, we see a little bit of movement in some countries starting to grow in the early 1800s, but it's really the 1900s where we see the most movement and growth. We see all these countries are working their way up towards the upper right corner of high income and long life expectancy, the healthy, wealthy corner, if you will. This progress over time could be seen a different way. What if we look at the main causes of death back in 1900, infectious disease, and we compare it to closer to today? Where today, infectious disease still kills some people, but now it's heart disease and cancer. Folks are living longer and through this infectious disease problem in the heart disease and cancer, and maybe during your lifetimes, we'll figure out how to reduce the deaths from heart disease and cancer and move on to other causes. Here's one more way to look at it. What if we look at how long a typical worker has to work, the number of hours they have to work, to earn enough to purchase common household items? So if we look at a range in stove back in 1910, typical household had to work about 10 weeks or so in order to be able to afford the stove. Today, 1997 in this report, sorry, don't have a cleaner version of it. This is the most recent one where somebody's put out a nice graphic for us. So 1997, we'll call that today. It's about a half a week. For a dishwasher, we went from a little over 11 weeks worth of work down to about a half a week again. So let's think about these ideas a little bit more. What are our potential goals for living standards and society? Well, it could be one of two. Maybe you think that we want to consume more, but work the same amount. You want to have a better standard of living, but you don't want to work a lot more. Or maybe you say, well, I'd kind of like to consume the same amount, but work less. I'd like to have more leisure time. Both of these goals require us to be more efficient in our work, to be more productive. So that leads us to principle number 8. A country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce goods and services. This is a story about productivity. Productivity is the amount of goods and services produced from each unit of labor. In other words, how efficient are we in our work? So productivity is the most important determinant of living standards. You want to know how to increase productivity then? Well, let's get more tools to each worker. Let's provide better training, more skills, or let's find better production processes. Economists call this technological knowledge. It's society's understanding of the best way to produce goods and services. So if a country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce goods and services, and we want to be more productive, we need more technological knowledge. We need to work smarter, not harder. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.